Yeah, thanks, Deji, for taking the time to have a chat with us. Yeah, please tell us about yourself, your company. What's the company's vision and what you're trying to achieve through the business.
Thank you very much, Amansu, for this opportunity. My name is Deji, Vice President Growth at Releaf. Releaf is a climate technology company. We are pioneering carbon removal technology using palm kernel shells to capture and remove carbon from the atmosphere. We are committed to empowering rural African communities through sustainable practices that improve agricultural productivity while also contributing to global net zero emission goals. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums our mission currently. Yep.
So before coming to Disraptor, what was your situation? What were some of the challenges you experienced with, on around the work that we had done? What was it like?
We work in the agricultural sector, and a lot of things there, a lot of data around the space is in structure. So we have like tons of data to work with, and we initially used to use Google spreadsheets to sort of organize our data. However, and we usually run into situations whereby certain spreadsheets will get filled up because we had too much data to deal with, and we now have to like start using a different spreadsheet. So these were the challenges of dealing with like chaotic data, if I will put it that way. And that was one of the reasons why like we were really interested in like the offerings this those came with when they reached out.
Hey, Uzo, thanks for coming through. How's it going?
Hey everyone, Uzo, the CTO and co-founder of Releaf. Yeah, here we are figuring out how to use food processing waste to tackle the climate crisis and improve yields of smallholder farmers while also removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. As Deji may have touched on, we worked in a very messy and unstructured industry. Thousands of smallholder farmers, tens of thousands of tons of raw material, people that don't use smartphones, people that use unstructured metric units. And so being having to build a lot of structure in I would say like a low network area and even offline is very challenging. So we've used kind of the most accessible tools available to us, a lot of Google Sheets, offline mode, TWA type apps. And I would say quite impressed with how we've been able to collect ground truth data. But then once you have the raw data, it becomes challenging to interpret it. And Deji may have mentioned, but there's a couple sheets where we've reached the max row limit. I think it's like 10 million rows or something, which I didn't even think was possible. So we really, and I don't know if I'm going too fast, so I can stop. But yeah, it's that's kind of what we're trying to achieve: bring structure, transparency to these industries, provide smallholders, farmers with solutions to improve their yields, provide food processors with high quality inputs, and at the same time use novel approaches, specifically biochar for us, to turn the waste from these farmers and these food processors into a product that can actually sequester or remove carbon from the atmosphere.
But yeah, so how did you come about Disruptor, and what were the selling points to that convince you to work with Disruptor?
One of our investors, Zach from Launch Africa, has been a real champion for us. Very founder focused. I believe I don't know how you guys met, but you guys met. And he mentioned that, a lot of portfolio companies were asking themselves, okay, there's so many advances in AI, a lot of tools, and a lot of companies are asking, how can we figure out what our AI strategy is? Even if you're not necessarily an AI company, it's an enabler, so you need to use it to achieve your mission. And so I thought that was very interesting. And it seems like you guys were helping companies figure out what their approach was. So we got introduced to Launch Africa. So I shared it with Deji. Um, we've had an issue in the past where I might think something's great, but it's very important that Deji sees the value and that it's useful too. So I don't run off. So I wanted to get him involved from.
Yeah, and to just add to that, I just finished like an AWS boot camp where like there was a lot of like exposition on like what's the AI operations on AWS, and I started speaking with a few consultants about it. And so when Ozo like really mentioned you guys reached out, yeah, it just made sense to like start like exploring that opportunity.
So tell us about the project. What was the project in a nutshell? What was the structure of the project? What was the outcome that we were trying to work towards?
like we've said, we used a lot of Google Sheets for our data. And then I would have to now go into the sheets, or either me or Uzo can now go into the sheet and run the different types of analysis we want to run to extract like whatever metrics or insights like we are looking for. And this takes a lot of time. I spend a lot of my time doing this, setting up those structures, coming back to them, ensuring like they are still intact, going through a lot of this data to understand why certain things are not behaving the way they should. Then sometimes I'll find out that like wrong data has been imputed, and I have to like do a lot of cleaning of the data. So this whole process just cannibalizes my bandwidth. Times I should be spending doing some other type of strategic work, I mostly end up like doing the work of a data analyst, essentially. So when I saw Disraptor's offering, it made sense to explore how to automate like the entire data pipeline, whatever transformations we want to make automatically, and then extract the insight. So we had already built out a structure that to some extent was stable. So the goal was to see how we can use, how we can replicate something similar on AWS, and from there begin to automate things. So working with the Disraptors team, we decided to take our weekly business reports and then find a way to create these reports from the data that we've been gathering. So we shared the different reports. We had several meetings with the team where we went over like each of the reports, what they meant. And the goal was now to like have all of these analytics, the different analytics, the different analysis I had previously done, have them on AWS, I think Lambda pipelines where all the data is now being warehoused, and I don't have to like go back to the sheets to start doing the things I used to do. It just becomes automated, and all that will be done is from the data inputs end, and it takes the old data and automates things and presents the report. So I'm glad that at first I thought it would be challenging replicating a lot of the analysis because some of the analytics were not straightforward. You would have to really understand a lot of some of our terms, why we had to do certain things certain ways, and it was good that a lot of us to be able to like clarify some of these things. So at the end of the day, it was interesting to see on Quid's side that the report was similar, almost a copy of like what we have on the weekly business report. So I think it sets the foundation for us to begin to like automate things without necessarily having to like go back to some of the things that would sort of be like foundational and like just like the preliminary steps are all like over and over week out, so it just becomes like standard.
Uzo, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Having a system that, like I said, the biggest problem is we've now solved the accurate raw data problem. Now, how do we translate it? And then having a system that can deal with the weird way we structure the raw data. And then if we used to have a big issue where we make one change and it can kind of completely mess up our system. And so now pipelines are well structured and we do make a change into the weighting or how we use this metric, being able to have it flow through everything, I think is really exciting. And then, like you said, being able to, with the advances in techniques and tooling, being able to also have what we're capable of doing, grow with that versus reworking it, I think is really exciting. But I think Deji's captured it well.
So after going through this project, what was the impact on the business? What was some of the value that the business could achieve, and not only the business, but the respective roles? And yeah, Deji, maybe we could start with you, and then Uzo, feel free to chip in as well.
I think the impact will begin to the impact, apart from saving us like the bandwidth to be able to focus on other important tasks, it's just one, we would be able to like trust the data more. Then two, like the insights would lay foundation for us to be like build on the accuracy of like the report we are now having, and begin to like see where we can make changes, tweak things. For example, I mean, we've had conversation about like what next steps would look like when in terms of like creating more features about like being able to like communicate with our data in natural language would be, I mean, I think this is the first step. So just generally managers being able to like get the answers they quickly need for their reports without having to maybe come to me, or would like having to need like a data analyst to like first extract that and having to do all the analysis to get like immediate answers to their business questions. I think that's super important. Like I've said, it will also like present the foundation for future solutions to be built. So I think that for me is like really very, very important, because we thrive on like the law of data. So we definitely need something real time, much more real time, as accurate as possible to always make like these decisions.
Thank you so much, Deji. Uzo, would you like to add anything to that?
Probably just expand on what he said around natural language. If we can kind of create our own ecosystem over time of, these sets of problems and get much faster at answering them, we can enable people in the field to do more. Probably the biggest value add is Katie's bandwidth to focus on more strategic type of work, and also us being able to more quickly troubleshoot. A practical example is we've been seeing our overhead costs for how we move our nuts increase over time. And so previously I may have to say, okay, hey, look at Q1, Q2, Q3, analyze the different buckets of cost inside of these, and give me an answer. And that may take some time for him to do that, but now very quickly we can spin up that graph, that chart, and then see, okay, yeah, this is kind of what's causing this increase. So those are key areas. Like every hour saved is profitable.
How was the implementation experience for you from Disraptor, from initial engagement to completion? What stood out for you? What did you like? And yeah, just your general experience working with Disraptor.
Yeah, I think this speed of like response first, communication was very, very good. You guys really like drilled down to getting it done quickly, and immediately like the conversation around like what were the requirements. I mean, I think at some point it felt like we were the ones a bit slow responding, or like whenever we did respond, were quick. I mean, we've had to schedule meetings because we were either in transit, and I mean, yeah, I had memorable conversations with Tato. Glenn, and these are some names I would remember even after the engagement. So yeah, I really had fun working with you guys.
Thank you so much, Deji. Uzo, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think the focus on providing value, and what I mean practically, people say that, oh, customer focused, but you guys really wanted to say that, okay, you're having this problem. How can we make sure this is actually solving a problem for you? It's not window dressing. Take time to understand our specs, our system. And then, yeah, just very, if there's a delay, you follow up. And like Devi said, Glenn, Tato, Mansu. So yeah, it's would 100% recommend you guys to other companies who are kind of dealing with similar challenges, seeing how you can also provide them with a real solution.
So from an interview questions perspective, this concludes it. Thank you for sharing so much in terms of the work that we've done. I've just got a few more sort of additional questions, open-ended questions. How important is it to think data first when you're building out a business?
You don't go blind if you have like enough data. I mean, it supports like a lot of if you have hypotheses or assumptions, you need data to back them, or else like you have been blind. So it is at Releaf, like it's one of the most important things for any like Releaf. So it's something I drum in my team. The data is the is the newest currency. Like, so with data, you can see things that people would normally miss, like everyday people would normally miss. And so that's, I think, just your understanding of the data around the space you work with will definitely set you apart from like people who don't.
Thank you so much, Deji. Uzo? Yeah.
And if you're not data first, you likely won't be able to take advantage of some of the amazing innovation in AI and machine learning. So have to start being more strategic about how you structure your data from the outset.
And when it comes to trying to think in terms of data first, what are some of the barriers that you guys feel you experience or common challenges that you experience from a data perspective? And yeah, maybe we can start off with that question. Deji?
Some of the challenges could be, how do you actually structure this data? How much data do you actually need to collect? Which is like, all data might be good data, but a couple of data might just be noise. So you need to be able to, I mean, for me, it's a lot around structuring the data so that retrieval becomes like very easy, and also like you're able to manipulate whatever you need to do on it. And what type of data should you actually be collecting?
And so being a company that's, received funding, you guys are growing in terms of a revenue base, in terms of customer base. Of course, you would have made relevant investments from a data perspective in terms of skills, tools, resources internally. But what in your view is a sort of tipping point where you need to say, look, we need to outsource some of our data activities to a partner like Disraptor? What factors would you consider before you would want to have a partner like Disraptor?
The AI space is really an emerging technology, so you definitely need people with the right set of technical expertise to be able to execute flawlessly on certain like solutions. For us, it was just the technical expertise and the experience. We don't currently have anyone on the team with that expertise, and so we definitely needed to reach out to people who have done something in that area.
Yeah, before you maybe build out a full-time team or resourcing, etc., it's very helpful to understand how it's going to actually impact your business in your bottom top line or time spent. So being able to outsource that, see it, get a feel for it, and then decide whether you bring it in-house or out-house is a far more like nimble approach as just a startup, versus going through long hiring and find this out and that out. And then again, because things are changing so quickly, you might hire for a very specific skill set and then it could be obsolete, So again, having someone who's fully focused on that and with trends and new things is quite useful too.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for this. This marks the end of the video testimonial. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Deji.
Great.
Thanks, Uzo.
Bye.
Cheers.